Welcome to the deep dive. You know that little tab on your project page? The one that just says Wiki? Today, we're going all in on that tab. Because for most people, the word wiki just brings up, this image of a sort of lightweight, maybe even neglected internal site.
A place where meeting nodes go to die.
Exactly. But we're looking past that simple interface to unpack the really powerful version-controlled architecture that's running underneath. We're talking GitLab wikis and their secret life.
That's absolutely right. And if you're trying to get up to speed on modern dev platforms, assuming the wiki is just a text editor, that is the biggest intellectual trap you can fall into. Our whole mission here is to really shatter that assumption, and we'll do it by focusing on one key concept, understanding the fundamental Gitness of the wiki structure.
Gitness. I love that. It's the perfect word. It points you right to the crucial architectural choice they made here. So we're going to cover what that architecture is, why it's separate from your main code base, the capabilities that unlocks, and of course, the security implications.
Right. How you turn simple notes into a robust, living knowledge base.
Let's start with that central mystery then. I click the Wiki tab, I start editing a page, and it just feels like a browser. A nice, clean CMS, it's fast, it uses Markdown. So what is actually happening behind the scenes that makes it so much more resilient than, say, just a folder of files in a database somewhere?
Okay, so this is the core technical insight. This is the thing you need to remember. Every single GitLab wiki is, in fact, its own dedicated, separate Git repository.
Separate.
Completely separate. It's not just some content fields linked to your project. It's a full Git repo that exists independently right alongside your primary code repository.
Okay, wait, I have to stop you there.
Yeah.
If it's a full Git repository, why hide that power? I mean, why build a whole web interface if the real engine is the command line? Isn't that just making it more complex for the user who just wants to add a quick note?
That's a fair point. But the power isn't in forcing you to use the command line. It's about giving you the option. That web interface, it handles the 90% case. The quick typo fix, the rapid update. But the Gitness, that handles the other 10%. And that's where things get really serious.
The serious 10%. Okay, let's go there. If I'm a tech writer or a PM and I need to manage a ton of content, what does that separate repo actually let me do on my own machine?
It lets you use every standard Git workflow you already know from coding. Specifically, you can clone it. If you go to the sidebar of any GitLab wiki, you'll see a clone repository button. That gives you a URL. It looks like your project URL, but with a little extra bit on the end, wiki.git.
So I can just grab that wiki.git URL, pop open my terminal, and clone the entire wiki down to my desktop.
Exactly. And this is a complete game changer for any kind of bulk content management. You can pull it all down, use your favorite local Markdown editor, or even run a script on it, commit your changes with proper Git messages, and then just push it back up.
And this is where it becomes strategic, right? For you, the listener, if you're managing docs for a growing team, imagine merging two teams' standards after a reorg or something. One team uses hyphens, the other uses underscores. Trying to fix that across 30 pages in a browser would be a nightmare.
It's not just a nightmare, it's so error-prone. By cloning the repo, you can use powerful local tools like grep, or your IDE's global search and replace. You could do a massive refactor of your documentation in minutes. Then you commit it as one single atomic operation. Refactor. Unified documentation naming.
And the commit history is clean, the process is fast. It basically professionalizes documentation work, gives it the same tools, the same rigor that we apply to our production code.
You got it. It connects the integrity of your documentation directly to the platform's version control engine.
Okay, now that we get the technical power, let's talk about the philosophy behind it. If Git is so important, why did GitLab choose to separate the wiki into its own repo? Why not just use a docs folder inside the main project?
That is the pivotal question. And the answer really gets to the heart of documentation philosophy. The separation is intentional because there are two very different kinds of information a project generates.
Two different categories.
Yep. The first kind is documentation that is tied directly to a specific version of the code. That stuff belongs in your docs folder.
Like API specs.
Exactly. API specifications, installation steps that only work for version 3.5, auto-generated code docs. You check out version 1.0 of the code, you must see the version 1.0 docs.
That makes perfect sense. The code and its instructions have to be in sync.
Precisely. But the second type is what we call living documentation. And that is what the wiki is for. This is information that changes regardless of what code version you're on. It defines the environment, not the code itself.
Can you give us some solid examples of that? Living documents?
Sure. Team standards, like your definition of done. The onboarding checklist for new hires, your project roadmap for the next quarter. These things change when the team changes, not when you push a new software feature.
Ah, I see it now. This is really about reducing friction and noise.
Yes.
If I'm a developer debugging something, I want to see feature commits, bug fixes. I do not want to scroll through 100 updates to the company vacation policy.
You've nailed it. It cleanly separates the documentation churn, which is often high frequency but low impact, from the core feature churn. The main repo's history stays clean, focused, and relevant for an audit. The wiki can churn all it wants without polluting the code's history.
That's a huge distinction. Okay, let's shift to mechanics. What do you absolutely have to know to contribute? We know Markdown is the main thing, but what else is there?
It's actually pretty flexible. Besides Markdown, it also supports RDoc, which you'll see in the Ruby world, AskSciDoc, which is popular for professional tech writing, and even org mode formatting. It handles the conversion for you.
So it caters to different communities. Smart. Beyond formatting, what are the two non-negotiable technical rules everyone has to master?
The first one is how you link between pages. You don't use a normal HTML link because that could break. Instead, you use something called the double bracket link.
Double bracket link.
Yeah. You just type page, name 2 brackets, the page title 2 brackets. And GitLab automatically turns that into a working link to the right page. It keeps the source text super clean and readable.
That's pretty elegant. Okay, what's the other non-negotiable rule? This has to be about the homepage, right? How does it know where to start?
It absolutely is. And this is the one rule that will save you so much frustration. The root page, the main landing page for your entire Wiki, must be named home.
It has to be home.
Has to be home, lowercase. If you name it start or index, GitLab won't know what to show people when they first click that wiki tab.
Right.
They'll just get a blank page. It's a simple rule, but it's critical for usability.
Home is where the docs are. Got it. Let's move to governance. Since this is basically the team's operational memory, security has to be a big deal. Who can actually change this stuff?
Access control is key, you're right. And it's segmented based on project roles. Pretty straightforward, actually. Guests can view the wiki, assuming the project isn't private. They can read everything, absorb the standards. It's read-only access for anyone who needs to be informed.
Okay, so broad consumption, but restricted creation. Who gets to actually do the writing?
To create, edit, or delete any content in the wiki, you need at least the developer role. And that's an intentional barrier. It ensures that only trusted team members, people who are actively contributing, can modify that foundational living documentation. You're protecting the integrity of your team's knowledge base.
And that protection brings us right back around to the Gitness of it all. Because every action is a Git commit, you get more than just role limits. You get a completely unchangeable audit trail.
That is the strategic value right there. The page history is the ultimate tool for accountability. You can forget trying to remember when some policy was changed or who approved it.
So what does that look like for a user?
You click Page History on, say, the vacation policy page. You'll see a list of commits, just like in your code repo. You see who changed it, when they changed it, and their commit message. And crucially, you can click on any previous version and see the exact lines that were added or removed.
So you can finally answer the question, wait, who changed the definition of a sprint from 2 weeks to 3, and when did that happen?
Precisely. And if a team adopts a new standard that turns out to be a disaster, you don't just argue about it. You can literally revert the documentation page back to the working version with a single click. The full power of Git, but for your team's institutional memory.
So let's bring this all home for you, the listener. If we boil this down to the 3 most critical takeaways about GitLab wikis, what are the pillars to remember?
Okay, so first, the wiki is a separate Git repository. Remember that. .wiki.git URL for bulk edits. It's a powerhouse.
Got it. Separate repo.
Second, on the practical side, the main landing page must be titled Home, no exceptions.
Easy enough. And third,
governance. Access is segmented. Guest to view, developer to edit. That's the minimum.
that's a fantastic summary. It really reframes the whole feature from just notes to living version-controlled documentation. It's wild how much power is hidden behind such a simple tab.
It is, and it makes you think about the value of that knowledge. So maybe a final thought to leave you with. If your documentation is versioned, auditable, and separate from your code,
Right.
you haven't just created notes. You've created an immutable strategic record. So the question is, are you currently treating your project's living memory with the same version control rigor that you treat your production code?
That is a powerful challenge. When you treat documentation like a strategic asset, the whole project levels up. Thanks for guiding us through the real identity of the Project Wiki today.
My pleasure.
And thank you for tuning into this deep dive. We hope this gives you a brand new, highly technical perspective on your own documentation. We'll catch you next time.